I would have to spend some real time thinking about my taxonomy. I think like
Yeah,
Davos tech is correct. I think there's
yeah,
definitely that sort of more institutional tech, Tim Cook, right?
yeah,
Uh, I think I would want to cut the founders into some different categories here.
yeah,
W- The politics of Elon Musk and some of the people like that are very different than the politics of a lot of individual founders. But
yeah,
there are, I think, two real camps of that. Like I think there's a sort of left founder culture emergent and a right founder culture
yeah,
emergent, and they're really really in tension with each other now. Um, but I think that the right founder culture has become very much about, in a way that people almost like don't really want to directly look into, it's very much a backlash against their own employees. I mean, it's completely
yeah.
clear. And this is was something I've always been completely fascinated by, actually. I mean, you think of it like a Brian Armstrong at Coinbase, just the level of frustration with what it is people are talking about in Slack in your own company, mixed with, to me, this sort of interesting unwillingness to take a sort of the medium as a message attitude towards what it means to have invented and helped like fund things like Slack or rolled them out is really
Yeah.
it's fascinating. So I found the whole Basecamp kerfluffle of like a couple, I don't remember when it was now, but really interesting. I mean, they created, I get what's in it, is Basecamp the name of the company or was that the product? Campfire was a
The
product, right?
Yes, yes, the company's Basecamp.
So Basecamp is a company. Campfire was like a precursor. I understood it at a certain point as a precursor to HipChat, but then HipChat became a precursor to Slack and to Teams and the rest of it. And and everybody's like, oh, this is going to democratize everything, and we're going to make it possible for everybody to talk. And then you did, and it's like, oh my god, what are these people saying?
Yeah,
And this created, I think, a real, I mean, first there's an effort to mandate it out of existence, right? You can't talk about politics anymore, like on the work Slack. And then, I mean, a lot of this was happening on Twitter, so it gets like literally bought by Elon Musk. And there's just something
yeah.
very interesting playing out in the labor politics that I think is sort of masquerading as other kinds of politics, but are a real conflict between labor and capital here. Um, and then crypto is interesting. I mean, Vitalik is to me, and I quite like Vitalik, and he's been on my podcast, and
Yeah,
he's a little bit of a distinctive figure.
yeah,
And I think I'm not sure what crypto elite means today versus what it meant a year ago. And I mean, does Chris Dixon count as crypto elite, right? Do all the VCs who are pumping money into it not count as crypto elite? What about Brian? Like, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that there is within crypto a lot of different subgenres between like the crypto utopians who are not that
yeah,
interested in crypto as a financialization mechanism and the sort of crypto financiers who are like, these are very different and to me somewhat irresolvable visions of this. I mean, something that I've often talked about with people in crypto is that you cannot solve the problems of capitalism, which is often what people are ideologically talking about, with a technology that builds hyper financialized capitalism into its core structure. You could solve other problems, right? Like you very well might be able to make remittances more efficient. But the idea that big Web 2 firms emerged and like developed a lot of power and then wielded that power in ways people don't like, and yet we've created another power concentrating thing with unequal financial rewards, like that you then need to create middleman institutions to make safe and usable, that then become things that the same VCs who invested in Web 2 and like the
yeah,
whole thing was so like weird from the beginning that there's a kind of, I think, irresolvable tension at its heart for now. And which side, if either of them wins out through that, or what kind of synthesis can emerge, is really, really going to be significant. And I think is not quite knowable at the moment. And then I would just finally say that it's very easy. Some of this all feels old to me
hmm,
when we're talking about, I mean, not, I mean, obviously there's a lot of new news about
yeah,
Elon Musk and others, but certainly my impression is that there's a set of technologies that are emergent now that are different and have different internal political dynamics than all the people who ran like social media and smartphone based either hardware
yeah,
or software companies. So, I mean, Musk is one of them, to be fair. But I think the amount of energy and investment now going into AI is obviously one area. And I think we really don't know what those business models will be. And like that will really affect how that evolves. But green tech in particular, alt proteins for a while, we'll see where that goes. I do think there's been a little bit of a move towards trying to solve other kinds of problems technologically. And my sense from knowing those industries a bit and people in them a bit is they have very, very different dynamics than both the founders and the financiers of like what you might call Web 2.